Grade 12. Major English. An Introduction to Language and Linguistics. 2. Issues and Aspects of Language. Multiple choice questions. 1. Which aspect of language teaching deals with the learner's background? A. Who to teach. B. Why to teach. C. What to teach. D. How to teach. 2. Aspect of language teaching is concerned with the activities done in the class. A. What. B. How. C. Who. D. When. 3. A set of correlative assumptions dealing with the nature of language teaching and learning is known as A. Approach. B. Method. C. Technique. D. Curriculum. 4. Which method interprets target language primarily as a system of rules to be observed in the texts and sentences and to be related to the first language rules and meanings? A. Grammar translation. B. Task-based. C. The direct. D. Audiolingual. 5. Which of the following is related with implementation that takes place in the classroom? A. Method. B. Approach. C. Technique. D. Language learning. 6. Refers to the use of 2 or more languages by an individual or by a group of speakers such as inhabitants of a particular region or a nation. A. Bilingualism. B. Multilingualism. C. Multiculturalism. D. Monolingualism. 7. Which of the following deals with commonality and universal humanity as a tendency to emphasize cultural differences? A. Multiculturalism. B. Bilingualism. C. Monolingualismo. D. Multilingualism. 8. Translation is A. Activity. A. Bilingual. B. Monolingual. C. Craft. D. Original. 9. Translation is related with the translation of different literary texts, viz. Poetry, drama, short stories, and novels. A. Literary. B. Technical. C. Monolingual. D. Techniques. 10. Which of the following techniques in translation combines certain parts of the source and target words to make a new word in the target language? A. Blending. B. Sense translation. C. Borrowing. D. Definition. Extra MCQs. 1. Which aspect of language teaching focuses on the selection and gradation of teaching items? A. Who to teach. B. What to teach. C. How to teach. D. When to teach what. 2. What does the technique refer to in language teaching? A. The overall plan for presenting language materials. B. The activities taking place in the classroom during teaching and learning. C. The assumptions dealing with the nature of language teaching and learning. D. The basis for methods to be developed. 3. Which purpose for learning a second language is not mentioned in the text? A. International communication. B. Academic purpose, e.g. higher education. C. Willing to live in the target language community. D. Learning a language just for fun. 4. What are some examples of learner-centered techniques mentioned in the text? A. Demonstration and dramatization. B. Explanation and illustration. C. Group work and pair work. D. Lecture and inquiry. 5. Which method mentioned in the text focuses on the translation of a text, accuracy, form-function practices, and context? A. Grammar translation. B. The direct. C. Audiolingual. D. Communicative. 6. According to the grammar translation method, which of the following is emphasized? A. Speaking and listening skills. B. Reading and writing skills. C. Grammar and translation. D. Abstract grammar rules. 7. Which method emphasizes oral proficiency of the target language as its principal focus? A. Grammar translation method. B. Direct method. C. Audiolingual method. D. Communicative language teaching. 8. What is one of the 5 slogans on which the audiolingual method is based? A. Language is primarily written, not spoken. B. Language is a set of habits. C. Language is best learned through reading. D. Language is the same across all cultures. 9. According to the communicative language teaching method, what is the desired goal of language learning? A. Perfect grammatical accuracy. B. Fluency in writing. C. Communicative competence. D. Memorization of vocabulary. 10. What is one of the characteristics of the task-based language teaching method? A. Focus on real-world outcomes. B. Emphasis on grammar drills. C. Sole reliance on reading activities. D. Limited opportunities for interaction. 11. What is a key characteristic of content and language integrated learning, CLAL? A. Teaching content through a second or foreign language. B. Teaching content exclusively in the native language. C. Focusing solely on grammar instruction. D. Prioritizing speaking and listening skills over reading and writing. 12. According to the text, what is one of the major characteristics of CLAL? A. Grammar is the primary focus of instruction. B. Comprehension is not considered crucial for second language learning. C. Lexis plays a central role in integrating language and content. D. The use of the native language is encouraged. 13. What does the pedagogy of particularity in post-method pedagogy seek to emphasize? A. The importance of understanding local linguistic, sociocultural, and political particularities. B. Encouraging teachers to theorize from their practice. C. Tapping into socio-political consciousness for continual identity formation. D. Focusing on practical and hands-on teaching methods. 14. What does the pedagogy of practicality aim to achieve in post-method pedagogy? A. Encouraging teachers to theorize from their practice. B. Emphasizing the importance of context-sensitive pedagogy. C. Rupturing reified role relationships and encouraging reflection on practice. D. Facilitating a continual quest for identity formation and social transformation. 15. What is one of the key points made about the selection of methods in the classroom in the text? A. There is a consensus on how different approaches and methods can be combined. B. Eclecticism in approach and method selection is encouraged. C. The use of a specific method is recommended for optimal quality in ELT. D. Methods have become less important in language teaching compared to approaches. 16. What does multilingualism refer to? A. The use of 2 or more languages by an individual or group. B. The use of multiple dialects within a language. C. The ability to speak fluently in multiple accents of a language. D. The study of the history of various languages. 17. According to Longman Dictionary of Language Teaching, what is a multilingual person? A. A person who can speak and understand any language equally well. B. A person who can speak 3 or more languages, but not equally well. C. A person who can only communicate in their native language. D. A person who can only communicate in one foreign language. 18. What is a characteristic of societal multilingualism? A. More than 2 languages are used in the society. B. A person speaks more than 2 languages. C. It is influenced by social norms and values. D. It is primarily influenced by international migration. 19. How is multiculturalism related to multilingualism? A. A multicultural society always involves people who speak multiple languages. B. Multiculturalism focuses on the coexistence of different cultures, while multilingualism focuses on language use. C. Multiculturalism emphasizes the use of 3 or more languages in a society. D. Multilingualism and multiculturalism are unrelated concepts. 20. What do language rights refer to? A. The rights of a minority language community to receive education and services in their languages. B. The rights of a majority language community to dominate linguistic policies. C. The right to choose any language for communication, regardless of the context. D. The rights of a government to impose a specific language on its citizens. 21. What is the literal meaning of the word translation? A. Carrying a message within the same language. B. Carrying something from one language to another language. C. Interpreting spoken words in the same language. D. Interpreting a message from a foreign language. 22. What is the primary focus of literary translation? A. Conveying information in a clear and concise manner. B. Reflecting the artistic reality and expressive elements of the original text. C. Translating technical documents and scientific reports. D. Adhering strictly to the rules of target language grammar. 23. What is the main difference between intralingual and interlingual translation? A. Intralingual translation involves synonyms or paraphrasing within the same language, while interlingual translation involves translation between different languages. B. Intralingual translation only occurs within the written medium, while interlingual translation involves spoken interpretation. C. Intralingual translation focuses on literary texts, while interlingual translation focuses on technical documents. D. Intralingual translation is more complex and challenging than interlingual translation. 24. What is the key factor that influences the difficulty of literary translation? A. The cultural significance of the original text. B. The conflict between form and content, and subjectivity and objectivity. C. The length of the original text. D. The number of languages involved in the translation process. 25. What is the term used for the oral mode of translation? A. Interpretation. B. Paraphrasing. C. Transcription. D. Transliteration. 26. What areas of everyday life does translation play a crucial role in? A. Education and sports. B. Mass media and tourism. C. Agriculture and construction. D. Healthcare and transportation. 27. How does translation contribute to the fields of literature and philosophy? A. By creating new languages for literary works. B. By expanding the global reach of literary texts through translation. C. By inventing entirely new genres of literature. D. By eliminating the need for original authors to write in multiple languages. 28. What role does translation play in second language teaching? A. It is no longer relevant in modern language education. B. It is used exclusively for teaching grammar. C. It helps in teaching vocabulary, enhancing writing skills, and strengthening memory. D. It is only applicable in technical language education. 29. What is the primary focus of the sense-for-sense translation technique? A. Reproducing the source text word by word. B. Conveying the overall meaning of a sentence or clause. C. Combining source and target words to create a new word. D. Providing additional information in footnotes. 30. When might a translator use the borrowing technique? A. When the translator wants to paraphrase the meaning of a word. B. When the equivalent word does not exist in the target language. C. When the translator needs to create a new word in the target language. D. When the translator aims to reproduce the source text word by word. B. Short questions. 1. Briefly discuss different approaches and methods of English language teaching. Approaches and methods in English language teaching refer to the strategies and techniques used to facilitate language learning. Approaches are overarching philosophies guiding instruction, while methods are specific instructional practices. Examples include the communicative approach, which emphasizes real-life communication, and the grammar translation method, focusing on rules and translation. These frameworks inform how teachers structure lessons and interact with students to promote effective language acquisition. Grammar translation method, originating in the 19th century, this method focused on translating between native and target languages. It emphasized grammar rules and literary language, often neglecting speaking and listening skills. Direct method, emerging in the early 20th century, this approach encouraged teaching in the target language exclusively. It emphasized oral communication and practical language use, aiming for immersion in the language environment. Audiolingual method, developed during the mid-20th century, this method heavily relied on repetitive drills and pattern practice. It aimed to develop habits of correct language use through listening and speaking exercises. Communicative language teaching, CLT, evolving in the 1970s, CLT prioritized real-life communication. It encourages interactive activities, problem-solving tasks, and authentic language use, aiming for fluency over accuracy. Task-based language teaching, TBLT, building on CLT, TBLT emerged in the late 20th century. It emphasizes learning through tasks that require language used to achieve a goal, promoting language acquisition in context. 6. Content and language integrated learning, CLAL. This method, growing in popularity, integrates language learning with content instruction. It provides opportunities for learners to acquire language while studying subjects like science or history. Choosing an approach depends on factors like learner proficiency, goals, and cultural context. A balanced approach that incorporates elements from different methods often proves most effective in today's diverse language classrooms. 2. Briefly explain major pedagogical shifts in language teaching. Language teaching has seen significant shifts. From grammar translation and direct method, emphasizing rules and immersion, to communicative language teaching, focusing on real-life communication. Task-based teaching emphasizes practical language use, while CLAL integrates language with content subjects. Post-method pedagogy encourages context-specific, flexible teaching approaches, departing from rigid methods. Major pedagogical shifts in language teaching have evolved over time, reflecting changes in educational philosophy and research findings. Grammar translation method, 19th to 20th century. This traditional approach focused on memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary, often using translation exercises. It was criticized for its lack of emphasis on communication skills. Direct method, late 19th, early 20th century. This method advocated for teaching language directly through immersion, avoiding translation. It emphasized oral communication, but it faced challenges in implementation. Audiolingual method, mid-20th century. Influenced by behaviorism, this method stressed repetition, drills, and habit formation. It aimed to develop automatic responses, but it faced criticism for limited creativity. Communicative language teaching, 1970s present. This approach prioritizes real-life communication, focusing on functional language use. It encourages interaction, problem-solving, and authentic language tasks, making learning more meaningful. Task-based language teaching, 1980s present. TBLT centers around completing tasks that require language use. It promotes learner autonomy, problem-solving, and practical language application, enhancing learners' ability to use the language in context. Content and language integrated learning, CLAL, 1990s present. CLAL incorporates language learning within content subjects like science or history. It helps learners acquire language skills while gaining knowledge in another field. Post-method pedagogy, 2000s present. Acknowledging the limitations of rigid methods, this approach emphasizes individualized, context-specific teaching practices. It encourages teachers to draw from various approaches based on their context. These shifts highlight a progression towards more dynamic, learner-centered approaches, prioritizing effective communication and meaningful language use over rote memorization or translation. Each approach brings valuable insights and techniques to language education, allowing for a more holistic and adaptable teaching process. 3. Define multilingualism. Why is it essential to know about multicultural education? Justify. Multilingualism refers to the ability of an individual or a community to use and understand multiple languages. It's a prevalent phenomenon globally, reflecting diverse linguistic communities. Knowing about multilingualism is crucial for several reasons. Firstly, in a globalized world, it fosters effective communication and understanding among people from different linguistic backgrounds, promoting cultural exchange and cooperation. Secondly, it enhances cognitive abilities, as multilingual individuals tend to exhibit improved problem-solving and multitasking skills. It also offers a broader perspective, allowing individuals to access a wider range of information, literature, and cultural experiences. Understanding multicultural education is equally vital. It involves acknowledging and appreciating the diversity of cultures, languages, and perspectives within an educational context. This is crucial for fostering inclusivity, ensuring that all students feel valued and represented. It helps break down cultural stereotypes and prejudices, creating a more harmonious learning environment. Moreover, multicultural education prepares individuals for a globalized workforce, where intercultural communication skills are increasingly important. It also promotes social cohesion by nurturing respect for different backgrounds and traditions. Overall, being aware of multilingualism and understanding the significance of multicultural education is essential in today's interconnected world. It promotes tolerance, empathy, and effective communication, all of which are vital skills in our diverse and globalized society. 4. Define translation and discuss the concepts of source and target languages. Translation is the process of converting written or spoken content from one language, the source language, into another language, the target language, while retaining its original meaning, context, and intent. It involves not only linguistic skills but also an understanding of cultural nuances and context. The source language, SL, is the original language of the content to be translated. It is the language in which the message or text is initially expressed. The translator works with the source language to grasp the meaning, style, and intent of the content. It is crucial for the translator to have a deep understanding of the source language to ensure accurate and effective translation. The target language, TL, is the language into which the content is being translated. It is the language in which the final message or text is presented. The translator's goal is to convey the meaning and nuances of the source text in a way that is natural and effective in the target language. Proficiency in the target language is vital for a translator to convey the message accurately and coherently. The relationship between the source and target languages is dynamic and complex. A skilled translator must not only be proficient in both languages but also possess cultural knowledge and an understanding of context. They need to navigate the linguistic and cultural gaps between the two languages to ensure an accurate and culturally sensitive translation. In summary, translation involves the conversion of content from one language, source language, to another, target language, while maintaining the original meaning and context. Understanding and proficiency in both languages, as well as cultural awareness, are key elements in successful translation. 5. Define translation. Show the differences between literal and free translation. Translation is the process of converting written or spoken content from one language into another while preserving its original meaning, tone, context, and intent. It requires not only linguistic proficiency but also cultural sensitivity and contextual understanding. Literal translation, also known as word-for-word translation, aims to replicate the source text as closely as possible in the target language. It adheres strictly to the lexical and syntactic structure of the source language, often resulting in a more direct but sometimes awkward or stilted rendition. This approach may not always convey the intended meaning accurately, as it can overlook cultural nuances and idiomatic expressions. Free translation, on the other hand, focuses on conveying the overall meaning, tone, and intent of the source text rather than adhering strictly to the original wording. It allows for more creativity and flexibility in expressing concepts, making the translation more natural and contextually appropriate in the target language. Free translation is especially useful for literary works, poetry, and texts with complex or culturally specific content. Here's an example to illustrate the difference. Source text, French coup de foudre. Literal translation, lightning strike. Free translation, love at first sight. In this example, the literal translation captures the individual words, but it doesn't convey the intended romantic meaning of love at first sight. The free translation, however, effectively conveys the intended sentiment in a culturally appropriate way. Overall, the choice between literal and free translation depends on the nature of the content, the context, and the desired impact on the target audience. 6. Discuss the concepts of multilingualism and multiculturalism in relation to Nepal. Nepal is a rich tapestry of linguistic and cultural diversity. Multilingualism in Nepal refers to the widespread use of multiple languages within the country. With over 120 languages spoken, Nepal is a testament to its linguistic variety. While Nepali is the official language, there are numerous mother tongues spoken across various ethnic groups and communities. This diversity has shaped Nepal's social fabric, influencing daily life, education, and governance. Multilingualism is deeply intertwined with multiculturalism in Nepal. The country is a melting pot of various ethnicities, each with its unique traditions, beliefs, and practices. These cultural distinctions coexist harmoniously, contributing to Nepal's vibrant multicultural landscape. Festivals, rituals, cuisines, and clothing vary widely across different ethnic groups, creating a rich cultural mosaic. This diversity is also reflected in education and public administration. Nepal has made strides in recognizing and respecting its linguistic and cultural pluralism. For instance, the Constitution of Nepal recognizes several indigenous languages as national languages and emphasizes their preservation and promotion. Additionally, education policies have been developed to ensure the inclusion of mother tongues in the curriculum, especially at the primary level. Radio Nepal and Gorkhapatra Daily also contribute by broadcasting and publishing content in indigenous languages. However, challenges persist, such as the need for effective implementation of these policies and promoting inclusivity across all linguistic and cultural groups. Recognizing and celebrating multilingualism and multiculturalism in Nepal is crucial for fostering a sense of national unity while preserving the rich heritage of its diverse communities. 7. Discuss the current pedagogical scenario in Nepal. The pedagogical scenario in Nepal exhibits a blend of traditional methods and modern approaches in education. The country faces various challenges, including resource constraints, infrastructural limitations, and socioeconomic disparities, which impact the quality and accessibility of education. In recent years, there has been a concerted effort to reform the education system. The implementation of the federal structure has brought about changes in policies and practices at various levels. The government has introduced initiatives to make education more inclusive, with a focus on marginalized and disadvantaged groups. This includes policies to promote multilingual education, incorporating mother tongues in early education. However, there are still challenges to address. Adequate teacher training and professional development programs are crucial for enhancing the quality of education. There's also a need for improved infrastructure, especially in rural and remote areas. Additionally, the assessment and evaluation methods are undergoing reforms to shift from rote memorization towards more skill-based assessments. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the adoption of technology in education. Online learning platforms and digital resources have become more prominent, but access to these resources remains uneven across urban and rural areas. Overall, Nepal is working towards creating a more inclusive, relevant, and accessible education system. However, there's a need for continued efforts in teacher training, infrastructure development, and leveraging technology to bridge the gaps and ensure quality education for all. For the most current updates, I recommend consulting more recent sources or official education authorities in Nepal. 8. Discuss the development of English language teaching situation in Nepal. The development of English language teaching, ELT, in Nepal has witnessed significant progress and undergone several transformations over the years. Initially, English was primarily taught through traditional methods, focusing on grammar and translation. However, there has been a shift towards communicative approaches in recent decades. The advent of the communicative language teaching, CLT, method emphasized interaction and real-life communication, moving away from rote memorization. Nepal's government recognizes the importance of English proficiency for global communication, leading to reforms in the education system. English has been introduced at an early age, and efforts have been made to enhance the quality of English instruction. The government has also encouraged the use of English as a medium of instruction in higher education, which has led to an increased demand for English language proficiency. In addition to government initiatives, various NGOs and NGOs have played a significant role in promoting English education in Nepal. They provide teacher training programs, develop curriculum materials, and support schools in adopting modern teaching methodologies. Furthermore, the use of technology in English language teaching has gained prominence. Digital resources, online learning platforms, and e-learning materials have become more accessible, especially in urban areas. However, challenges persist. There is a shortage of qualified English teachers, particularly in rural areas. Additionally, there's a need for continuous professional development and training for teachers to keep up with evolving pedagogical approaches. Overall, the development of English language teaching in Nepal reflects a growing recognition of the importance of English proficiency in a globalized world. Efforts are being made to enhance the quality of instruction and provide more opportunities for students to become proficient in the language. For the most current updates, I recommend consulting more recent sources or official education authorities in Nepal. 9. Discuss the issue of the teaching of contents or skills or both. The debate over whether to prioritize the teaching of content or skills in education has been a long-standing and complex issue. Both content and skills are integral components of effective education, but finding the right balance between them can be challenging. Content refers to the specific subject matter, facts, and knowledge that students are expected to learn in a particular discipline. It often forms the foundation upon which deeper understanding and critical thinking are built. Teaching content is essential as it provides students with the necessary background knowledge to engage in meaningful discussions, problem solving, and application of concepts. On the other hand, skills encompass a range of cognitive, social, and practical abilities that enable students to process and apply information effectively. These skills include critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, problem solving, and adaptability. Teaching skills is crucial because they empower students to apply their knowledge to real-world situations, think critically, and adapt to changing circumstances. The ideal educational approach is one that integrates both content and skills effectively. This approach, often referred to as teaching for understanding, recognizes that content alone is not sufficient for meaningful learning. Instead, content should be taught in a way that emphasizes the development of relevant skills. In this model, students acquire knowledge while simultaneously honing their abilities to analyze, synthesize, and apply that knowledge. The emphasis on content versus skills can vary depending on educational philosophies, goals, and the specific needs of learners. Ultimately, a balanced approach that recognizes the interdependence of content and skills is essential for preparing students to succeed in a rapidly changing world where they need both a strong knowledge base and the ability to adapt and innovate. 10. Discuss the issue of the teaching of language or about language. The issue of whether to focus on teaching the language itself or teaching about the language is a fundamental debate in language education. Teaching the language primarily involves instructing students in the mechanics of a language, including grammar, syntax, vocabulary, pronunciation, and other linguistic elements. This approach aims to develop students' proficiency in using the language for communication. It focuses on the practical aspects of language acquisition, aiming for fluency and accuracy in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. On the other hand, teaching about the language is a more metalinguistic approach. It involves exploring the underlying structures, rules, and features of a language. This includes studying linguistic theories, syntax, morphology, phonetics, and other aspects of language as a system. It delves into the whys and hows of language, providing a deeper understanding of its structure and usage. The ideal language education program should strike a balance between teaching the language and teaching about the language. A comprehensive approach acknowledges that both aspects are interconnected and mutually beneficial. Teaching the language provides students with practical skills for communication, while teaching about the language enhances their metalinguistic awareness and understanding. A balanced approach also considers the learner's needs, goals, and proficiency levels. Beginners may require more focus on teaching the language to establish a strong foundation, while advanced learners can benefit from a deeper exploration of linguistic concepts. Ultimately, an effective language education program should aim to develop well-rounded language learners who not only communicate proficiently but also possess a solid understanding of the underlying structures and principles of the language they are studying. This dual approach contributes to a more comprehensive and meaningful language learning experience. 11. Discuss the major trends in English language teaching methods used in the 20th century with reference to Nepal. In the 20th century, English language teaching methods underwent significant evolution worldwide, including in Nepal. Here are some major trends that influenced English language teaching in Nepal during this period. Grammar translation method. This traditional method focused on teaching grammar rules and vocabulary through translation exercises. It was widely used in Nepal, emphasizing reading and writing skills over speaking and listening. Direct method. This approach aimed to immerse learners in the target language, discouraging the use of the native language. In Nepal, it was challenging to implement due to limited English proficiency among both teachers and students. Audiolingual method. This method emphasized repetition, drills, and pattern practice to develop oral skills. It gained some popularity in Nepal, particularly in institutions with access to audio resources. Communicative language teaching, CLT, introduced in the latter half of the 20th century. CLT focused on meaningful communication and real-life situations. In Nepal, there was a shift towards CLT, especially in urban areas and private language institutes. Content-based instruction, CBI integrated language learning with subject matter content. In Nepal, this approach gained traction in schools, helping students acquire both language proficiency and subject knowledge. Task-based language teaching, TBLT shifted the focus to completing meaningful tasks, encouraging learners to use language in context. It gained recognition in Nepal, especially in teacher training programs. Use of technology. In the late 20th century, technology began to play a role in English language teaching. Computer-assisted language learning, CAL, and multimedia resources gradually found their way into classrooms in Nepal. These trends in English language teaching methods in the 20th century reflected a broader global shift towards more communicative and learner-centered approaches. In Nepal, the adoption of these methods varied based on factors such as location, resources, and teacher training availability. 12. Discuss the types of translation. Translation involves bridging the lexical, syntactic, and cultural gaps between languages. These gaps, stemming from differences in vocabulary, sentence structure, and cultural context, can lead to the loss of meaning. To overcome these challenges, various techniques have been developed. Literal translation. This approach aims to translate word for word, maintaining the grammatical structure of the source text. It is commonly used for both literary and technical texts. For example, blackboard is translated as Kalapati in Nepali. Borrowing. When equivalent words are lacking in the target language, translators borrow or adopt words from the source language, adapting them to the target language's script. This technique is particularly prevalent in technical fields where specialized terms may not exist. Paraphrasing. Translators rephrase the meaning of a word or phrase to enhance understanding, especially in technical translations. This technique is essential when conveying complex concepts in developing languages. Loan creation. New words are coined in the target language to represent concepts or meanings from the source language. This is common in fields like science, technology, and communication. Substitution. While the target language may have words equivalent in meaning to those in the source language, they might differ functionally or culturally. Translators use substitution to convey the intended message. Footnotes. Additional information provided at the bottom of a page helps clarify terms or expressions that may not be readily understood by target readers. This is especially vital in literary translation. Recognized translation. Translators use words or expressions already accepted by the community to substitute those from the source language. Sense-for-sense translation. This technique focuses on conveying the overall meaning of a sentence or clause, rather than translating individual words. It is used in both literary and non-literary contexts. Blending or hybrid formation. This involves combining parts of source and target words to create new terms in the target language. This is particularly seen in coining terms related to contemporary phenomena like COVID-19. Translators must select techniques judiciously, ensuring that their translation meets three key criteria. It must be comprehensible to the reader, capture the spirit of the source text, and feel natural in the target language. 13. Translation is a bilingual activity. Discuss it with examples from Nepali and English language. Translation is the process of converting text or speech from one language into another, maintaining the essence and meaning of the original. It is essentially a bilingual activity, involving two languages, a source language, SL, and a target language, TL. This process is integral to global communication, enabling people from different linguistic backgrounds to understand and engage with content in their native language. For instance, consider the translation of the Nepali phrase into English, which becomes "Hello, how are you?" Here, the Nepali phrase is the source language, and the English version is the target language. The translation maintains the greeting's intent and meaning, allowing a person proficient in English to understand the original Nepali expression. Similarly, in literary translation, works of literature are transformed from the source language into the target language while preserving the author's intent and style. An example is the translation of the renowned Nepali poem Munamudan by Lakshmi Prasad Devkota into English. This translation enables a global audience to appreciate the literary richness of Nepali literature. Translation is crucial in various domains, from legal and technical documents to marketing materials and academic texts. In the context of Nepal, where multiple languages coexist, translation plays a pivotal role in ensuring that information is accessible to all linguistic communities. It not only facilitates communication but also contributes to preserving cultural heritage and promoting understanding among diverse language groups. 14. What are the major features of post-method pedagogy? Discuss examples. Post-method pedagogy is a modern approach to language teaching that diverges from rigid, one-size-fits-all methodologies of the past. Traditional methods like the oral approach, audiolingual method, and communicative approach were prevalent from the 1950s to the 1980s, but they eventually fell out of favor due to their prescriptive nature. Methods are linked to specific practices, and as these practices become outdated, so do the methods. Post-method pedagogy considers various factors when adopting a new approach or method. These include its perceived effectiveness compared to current practices, compatibility with existing beliefs in classroom setups, simplicity in understanding and implementation, prior testing in real classrooms, clear communication of its benefits, and practicality in classroom application. Kumarava-Divalu's three-dimensional system of post-method pedagogy introduces three pedagogic parameters: particularity, practicality, and possibility. Pedagogy of particularity focuses on tailoring teaching to local linguistic, socio-cultural, and political contexts. Pedagogy of practicality encourages teachers to integrate theory and practice, fostering a reciprocal relationship. Pedagogy of possibility aims to tap into students' socio-political consciousness for identity formation and social transformation. This approach emphasizes contextual sensitivity and encourages educators to theorize from their own practice. It breaks away from the constraints of method-based teaching, allowing for a more experiential and contextually relevant learning experience. The concept of eclecticism is central, highlighting that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to language teaching, and a combination of methods and techniques may be the most effective approach. 15. What are the major sources of translation? Explain them with examples. The major sources of translation are diverse and can include written texts, oral communication, and various forms of multimedia. Each source poses its own unique challenges for translators. Written texts, this is one of the most common sources of translation. It encompasses a wide range of materials including books, articles, legal documents, technical manuals, and more. For instance, the translation of a legal contract from its original language to another is a critical task, as any misinterpretation could lead to legal complications. Oral communication, this source involves translating spoken language, such as conversations, speeches, or interviews. Simultaneous interpretation, where a translator renders speech into the target language while the source speaker continues to speak, is a challenging form of oral translation. For example, during international conferences, interpreters provide real-time translations for attendees who speak different languages. Audiovisual materials, this includes translating content from audio and visual sources, like movies, television shows, documentaries, and online videos. Subtitling and dubbing are common methods. For instance, when a foreign film is released in a new market, it may be dubbed into the local language or provided with subtitles. Websites and software, as the internet has become a global platform, the translation of websites and software interfaces has become crucial. For example, a multinational company might translate its website to reach a broader audience. Multimedia and interactive content, this category encompasses a range of formats, including e-learning modules, video games, and virtual reality experiences. Translators in this field must consider not only linguistic nuances but also cultural sensitivities and user experience. For instance, in a video game, the dialogue, instructions, and user interface elements must all be translated effectively. Official documents and certificates, this source involves translating documents like birth certificates, marriage certificates, academic transcripts, and official letters. Accurate translation is crucial for legal and administrative purposes, especially in immigration and visa processes. Literary works, translating literature, including novels, poems, and plays, requires a deep understanding of both the source and target cultures. The challenge lies in not only conveying the literal meaning but also preserving the style, tone, and emotion of the original work. Social media and online content, with the rise of social media platforms, translation of posts, comments, and messages is essential for global interaction. This is particularly important for businesses and individuals looking to engage with a diverse audience. Overall, effective translation requires a nuanced understanding of the source material, mastery of both languages involved, and sensitivity to cultural context. It's a skill that plays a crucial role in global communication and accessibility. 16. What are the major techniques of translation? Discuss any 4 techniques with appropriate examples. Translation employs various techniques to bridge the linguistic and cultural gaps between source and target languages. Here are 4 major techniques with examples. Literal translation. This technique involves translating the source text word for word, adhering closely to the grammar and structure of the target language. It's particularly used for technical or legal documents. Example, Nepali, literal, blackboard, translated to English. Paraphrasing. In this technique, the translator rephrases the original text to convey the meaning more clearly in the target language. It's commonly used when translating idiomatic expressions.
Example, Nepali, कुनै पनि कारणले म तपाईलाई यत्रा गर्नु नपर्यो.
Paraphrased, I couldn't go on the trip for any reason, translated to English. Cultural equivalence. This technique focuses on replacing culturally specific terms with equivalent concepts in the target culture, ensuring that the message remains meaningful to the target audience. Example, Nepali, cultural term, a major Hindu festival in Nepal, translated to English as XII. Transposition. Transposition involves changing the grammatical structure or form of a sentence while maintaining its original meaning. This is used when the structure of the source language differs significantly from the target language.
Example, Nepali, म तपाईलाई भेट्न चाहन्छु.
Transposed, I want to meet you, translated to English. These techniques highlight the adaptability and creativity required in translation. A skilled translator must carefully consider the nuances of both languages and cultures to convey the intended meaning accurately. It's also worth noting that a combination of these techniques may be used in a single translation to address various linguistic and cultural challenges. 17. What does language rights mean? Discuss the issues related to language rights. Language rights refer to the entitlement of individuals or communities to use their preferred language in various aspects of their lives, including education, legal proceedings, media, public services, and cultural expression. These rights aim to protect linguistic diversity and ensure that individuals can fully participate in society using their native or chosen language. Issues related to language rights. Preservation of linguistic diversity. Many languages around the world are endangered, facing the risk of extinction. Language rights advocate for the preservation and promotion of these languages as they are integral to cultural identity. Access to education. Language rights in education ensure that individuals can be educated in their mother tongue or a language of their choice. This enhances comprehension and facilitates a deeper understanding of concepts. Legal rights and access to justice. People have the right to understand and participate in legal proceedings in a language they comprehend. This is crucial for ensuring fairness and preventing discrimination. Cultural expression and media. Language rights protect the ability to express oneself culturally through language. This includes the right to publish, broadcast, and access information in one's chosen language. Political participation. Language rights enable citizens to engage in political processes, including voting, campaigning, and accessing political information in their preferred language. Employment opportunities. Language rights can play a role in ensuring that language is not a barrier to employment. This is especially significant in multicultural societies. Migration and refugee rights. Language rights are vital for migrants and refugees to access essential services, understand their rights, and integrate into new societies. Protection from discrimination. Denial of language rights can lead to discrimination, exclusion, and marginalization of linguistic minorities. Upholding language rights promotes inclusivity and equality. Ensuring language rights is essential for upholding human rights, fostering inclusivity, and preserving cultural heritage. It acknowledges the importance of language as a fundamental aspect of identity and communication. 18. What does minority language identity mean? Can there be one's identity in the use of their own language? Describe. Minority language identity refers to the unique cultural and social identity that individuals or communities associate with their native language when it is not the dominant or widely spoken language in a given society. It encompasses the sense of belonging, shared heritage, and cultural distinctiveness tied to the use of a specific language within a particular group. One's identity can be profoundly connected to the use of their own language. Language serves as a medium through which individuals express their thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and cultural nuances. When individuals communicate in their native language, they feel a sense of comfort, familiarity, and belonging. It allows them to fully articulate their experiences and perspectives. Moreover, language is a carrier of cultural heritage. It carries within it the traditions, stories, values, and history of a community. When individuals use their native language, they are not just speaking words, but they are also preserving and perpetuating a rich cultural legacy. However, when minority languages face challenges or are marginalized, it can lead to a threat to one's linguistic identity. It may result in feelings of exclusion, loss of cultural heritage, and a sense of being undervalued or disrespected. Therefore, upholding and promoting minority language identity is crucial for respecting diversity, safeguarding cultural heritage, and fostering inclusivity within societies. It acknowledges that language is not just a means of communication, but a vital aspect of a person's identity and a cornerstone of cultural expression. 19. What is intercultural competence? Why does it need in today's globalized context? Discuss. Intercultural competence refers to the ability of individuals or groups to effectively communicate, interact, and collaborate with people from different cultural backgrounds. It involves not only understanding and respecting diverse cultural norms, values, and behaviors, but also the capability to adapt and navigate within various cultural contexts. In today's globalized context, intercultural competence is essential for several reasons. Diversity and globalization. In an interconnected world, individuals and organizations frequently interact with people from various cultural backgrounds. Intercultural competence enables effective communication and collaboration, which is vital for success in international business, diplomacy, education, and various other fields. Reducing misunderstandings and conflicts. Cultural differences can often lead to misunderstandings or conflicts. Intercultural competence helps in recognizing and addressing these differences, fostering better relationships, and preventing potential conflicts. Promoting inclusivity and diversity. Embracing intercultural competence supports an inclusive environment. It acknowledges and values the contributions of individuals from diverse backgrounds, creating a more equitable and harmonious society. Enhancing personal growth and perspective-taking. Developing intercultural competence involves self-awareness and the ability to step into someone else's shoes. This not only fosters personal growth but also broadens one's perspective, enabling them to see the world from different angles. Enriching learning and innovation. In educational and professional settings, exposure to diverse perspectives can lead to more innovative solutions and creative problem-solving. Intercultural competence enhances the learning experience by offering multiple viewpoints. Global citizenship. In today's world, being a responsible global citizen means recognizing and respecting the richness of diverse cultures. Intercultural competence is a key aspect of being an engaged and empathetic citizen of the world. Overall, in a globalized world where cultural interactions are increasingly common, intercultural competence is not just a beneficial skill, but a necessity for effective communication, mutual understanding, and productive collaboration. It promotes respect, empathy, and appreciation for the richness of human diversity. 20. What is language politics? How does it affect minority languages? Language politics refers to the use of language as a tool for political purposes, including issues related to language policies, representation, and the power dynamics associated with linguistic diversity. It encompasses decisions made by governments, institutions, and communities regarding language use, education, and recognition. For minority languages, language politics can have significant impacts. Language suppression. In many cases, dominant languages are favored by governments and institutions, while minority languages are marginalized or actively suppressed. This can lead to a loss of linguistic diversity and can be a form of cultural assimilation. Limited access to education. Minority language communities may face challenges in accessing education in their native language. Policies favoring the use of a dominant language in education can hinder the development of literacy and fluency in minority languages. Cultural identity and representation. Language is a crucial aspect of cultural identity. When a minority language is not recognized or supported, it can lead to a sense of cultural loss or erasure for the affected community. Political mobilization. Language can be a powerful tool for political mobilization. Minority language speakers may advocate for their rights and representation through language-based movements, demanding linguistic equality and inclusion in political processes. Economic disparities. Language politics can also impact economic opportunities. Dominant languages are often linked to economic advancement, while minority languages may be associated with lower socioeconomic status. Preservation and revitalization efforts. In response to language politics, minority language communities may engage in efforts to preserve, revitalize, and promote their languages. This can include language revitalization programs, cultural events, and advocacy. Overall, language politics plays a critical role in shaping the linguistic landscape of a society. It influences which languages are valued, recognized, and supported, and it can have profound effects on the cultural, social, and political experiences of minority language communities. Recognizing the importance of linguistic diversity and implementing inclusive language policies is crucial for fostering an inclusive and equitable society. 21. What is mother tongue? What does mother tongue education mean? Write briefly. Mother tongue refers to the first language or native language that a person learns from their parents, family, and immediate community. It is the language in which a person is most proficient, feels most comfortable, and uses for everyday communication. The mother tongue is often the language spoken in the home environment. Mother tongue education, also known as native language instruction, is an educational approach that emphasizes teaching and learning in a student's first language. It involves using the mother tongue as the medium of instruction for academic subjects, rather than immediately transitioning to a second or foreign language. This approach recognizes the cognitive, emotional, and cultural benefits of learning in one's native language. Key points about mother tongue education. Cognitive advantages. Research shows that students who receive education in their mother tongue tend to perform better academically. They grasp complex concepts more easily and achieve higher levels of proficiency in both their first language and additional languages. Cultural preservation. Mother tongue education helps preserve cultural heritage and identity. It allows students to engage with their cultural roots, traditions, and literature. Smooth transition. Starting education in the mother tongue helps learners build a strong foundation in various subjects. They can then gradually transition to learning additional languages without compromising their academic progress. Improved learning outcomes. Students who receive education in their mother tongue often show increased motivation, participation, and overall engagement in the learning process. Inclusivity and equity. Mother tongue education promotes inclusivity, ensuring that all students, regardless of their linguistic background, have equal access to quality education. Linguistic diversity. Embracing mother tongue education acknowledges the importance of linguistic diversity in a multicultural society. Overall, mother tongue education is a pedagogical approach that recognizes the significance of a student's first language in their overall educational development. It fosters a positive learning environment and supports academic achievement while valuing linguistic and cultural diversity. 22. What is multilingualism? Can it be a problem or resource in a school context? Discuss. Multilingualism refers to the ability of an individual or a community to speak and understand multiple languages. It is a common phenomenon in many parts of the world, where people may use two or more languages in their daily lives for various purposes such as communication, education, work, and cultural expression. In a school context, multilingualism can be both a challenge and a valuable resource. Challenges. Language barrier. Multilingualism can lead to language barriers, making it harder for students to fully understand the curriculum. This can hinder academic performance and limit participation in classroom activities. Standardized testing. Standardized tests are often conducted in a dominant or official language. Students with different mother tongues may face difficulties in demonstrating their true abilities on these assessments. Social integration. Students from different linguistic backgrounds may face challenges in socializing and forming connections with peers if they do not share a common language. Resources. Cultural diversity. Multilingualism fosters cultural diversity and inclusivity. It allows students to appreciate different languages, traditions, and perspectives, promoting a more enriching educational experience. Cognitive benefits. Research suggests that multilingualism enhances cognitive skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and multitasking abilities. It also contributes to a deeper understanding of language structures and rules. Global competence. In today's interconnected world, being multilingual is a valuable skill. It opens up opportunities for international communication, cultural exchange, and global citizenship. Parental involvement. Multilingual schools can facilitate stronger connections between parents, as they are more likely to be actively involved in their children's education when they can communicate effectively. In conclusion, while multilingualism in a school context can pose challenges, it also brings significant benefits. With proper support and strategies, schools can harness the potential of multilingualism to create inclusive, diverse, and intellectually stimulating learning environments. Best of luck!